I have good news and bad news. The bad news is that despite the title of the conference, if you get the pop culture reference, yeah, I'm sorry, you're not going to learn how to assemble an atomic bomb. Good news, you got a sneak peek at Mike's presentation. This is the presentation that the beautiful nerds out there are going to love. We are going to show you some code, so you can look forward to that. So this is my colleague Wojciech.
Hi, this is Daniel, and we work as technical writers in Dolby Laboratories. And today we want to show you a little bit different perspective to this conference motto, to this conference guiding team.
Yeah, indeed. So we've been hearing about this disconnect between us and them. That has been usually presented as we technical communicators, the tech writers, and whoever works in that area against our customers, our stakeholders, SMEs, product owners, whoever. We see another disconnect here between us and the tools we use and the people that stand behind those tools. So we're going to take you on a small trip. We're going to tell you a bit of a story around how we managed to take something more out of those tools, just fell in love a bit with the tools thanks to the glossaries. So since I'm talking about tools, let us present you the tool stack that we use. So we use data, and I would like to see, can you raise your hands, which of you that use data, that authoring data?
Yes.
Good, good. So those of you who don't, you're going to get a chance to learn about data, I guess. So we use data. We author the XMLs in Oxygen. And our CMS is Data, as you already learned from Erin. Really happy about that. Oh, and this presentations, I mentioned Mike already. This is not a presentation, actually. This is native HTML thanks to Reveal.js. So yeah, I'm just really happy that we managed to put that together. OK, that's our tools. Now, the phases of, I think, in glossaries.
Yeah, so why do we want to talk about glossaries? What are glossaries to us? So we think about glossaries in a very simple way, like probably most of you think as well. So glossaries for us are just alphabetical list of terms with standardized definition across all of our deliverables. So we try to be consistent in usage of our terminology so that every deliverable that we provide to the customer uses the same definitions, uses the same acronyms. And you can think of a glossary as something that is globally reused. And it's not only reused between in a documentation team, it's also reused in portfolio management, product management, and engineering teams as well. So we want that to be consistent. And now, what I'm talking about is a definition, but also in how actually deliverables look like. So I'm talking about the capitalization, the acronyms, the spelling. And a cool additional feature that proper terminology management allows us to give to the customer comes from data, and we, in an HTML output of any document, we can think of where the term appears somewhere in the text, we can think of a hovering text that explains what the term means and show the definition of this term. Yeah. Now, here is how the output of the glossary can look like. This is very simple, just a term definition, term definition, term definition. We try to keep this SOAP style in our documentation. And now, the data structures glossary terms as separate files. And you can see that on this right side here. So each glossary term is a separate XML file. And this is a short list, roughly 20 terms now, made just for the presentation, for this presentation purpose. But if you think about whole company, large companies, this can be hundreds, thousands, maybe. And an important thing here is that it's not necessarily technical writers who take care about how the glossary looks like and how the terminology, and make sure that the terminology is consistent. This can be a separate team to us, a separate group of people with different processes. And I think Daniel wants to tell you a bit about it.
Yeah, indeed. That's a very good point, because we've had presentations yesterday that were mentioning how difficult it is to author and to develop content in parallel to product development. That's what we do, actually. So you have different documentation projects that have their milestones aligned with the product development milestones. But like Wojciech said, we have internally a project that takes care of the glossary. And of course, it has its own milestones. And those milestones will not align with the product and documentation development milestones. So we have a disconnect here. So how do we tackle this? You want to start writing, and it may be that you already have an idea of the items that will become term candidates. And I may be getting a bit ahead of myself, so I think before I go into that, I'll show you how the glossary looks under the hood. Code. So, data. We have those glossary entries that Wojciech mentioned. We have a term, and we're being very clever with our examples. So, SOAP content conference, that's our term. We define it as the best content conference, period. And you can have, you can have additional stuff in your gloss entry. I'm guessing most of you guys that use data also use the acronym element, because we being technical writers, technical communicators, our subject matter tends to be acronym heavy, so it can already be implemented there. And the glossary map is where you collect all those individual files, you assign them a key, and I think I'm losing the not data savvy ones, and even perhaps some of you guys that are new to data, so maybe it's a good idea to do a bit of a data refresher at this point. Yeah, maybe we should do that.
Yeah, for those of you who attended SOAP last year, you might recall a great Adam Saniu's presentation about key referencing, and it was very detailed. Now, for those of you who haven't been there, pity, well, but you're here today, so that's good. And for those of you who don't remember how it actually works, here's a quick refresher of what keys are and why we actually use it. So we think of a key as a symbolic name that allows us to link an element to a file path. Now, we define keys using keydef elements, as was shown on the previous slide in the data map. Now, we have several techniques on how to reference these keys inside topics, but in this particular presentation, we want to show two of these. One is a key ref, and one is a con key ref. I don't want to really go into detail when do we use each of them. You will see that on our example. But basically, they are both indirect linking techniques that are based on keys.
Yeah. So, okay, so now I can get into an actual example of implementation of these terms, this kind of linkage, etc. This is our example map that we created for the purpose of the presentation. So we have our SOAP data map, and it carries topic refs to 3 topics: concept, task, and reference. We have our concept and the theme we're describing. We were assuming that we have a thing, a product, something that we're documenting, and we're documenting how to take care of it, how to clean it. So yeah, those are the rules to take care of the thing. And as you can see, the writer has introduced there a boilerplate capitalized thing. He or she knows that at some point there's going to be a term there, right? But he or she already knows that yeah, I'm going to need to do these things to clean the product, whatever. So they have already written the content. They don't have the term, but they have the content already. The same for the task. They know that they had to rub the soap on the thing. And even a reference topic where they describe the ingredients of the soap that they assume needs to be used to clean this thing. Right. So we have those term candidates, but I don't know. Like I was saying previously, your product owner is still figuring out together with marketing how they're going to call the actual product. What do? Do you wait for them to do that? You already have like 10 projects on pipeline. You want to get on with that. So instead of doing this kind of strategy and putting boilerplate thing, soap, whatever, into that, maybe you can do something better. And the solution we came with is just a solution. It's just something we implemented. We call it interim glossaries. So the situation I was presenting after the introduction of the interim glossary looks like that. You have a disconnect with the glossary. You cannot use it because the term is just not there. Your product owner hasn't defined it, so your glossary management team cannot possibly have introduced it. So what we introduce is interim glossary that will single source or terms in the meantime. It looks like this. You add to your map a topic. It could be a non-specialized topic, but yeah, I guess when we did it, we just put a reference topic into it. And it carries terms. And there's some weird stuff in there. You can see there's a comment, there's the actual term, and then there's a concurref. Why? Well, we know that some writers are not confident enough to work in text view. This would be in Oxygen, by the way. This would be the text view in Oxygen. So they wouldn't be able to see the ID that we've put in the term. That's why there's a comment. And they may not be happy with having to create the concurref because they would have to click this and that or whatever. So we're already providing them with a concuref that, in this case, it's linking. I mean, you have the concuref here, and it's just linking to the soap term here. So it's really dumb. Why would we do that? Well, because then you add this in gloss to your map. You provide a key to it in gloss. The syntax of the concuref will always be topic key thing. Sorry, topic key ID, and the ID is thing, like you have there. So we added that to the map, and then when we start to mark up our terms and single source them from the interim glossary, what we do is just substitute the boilerplate with our concuref. So we're pulling them from the interim glossary. This means that you have a warehouse topic, and for some people that is just, okay, I add this, now I have my terms. And how they would do it, so actually there's a small mistake in there, so I'm going to fix it. There's still a boilerplate thing. Where's my... Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to take that thing. No, that's the soap. I want a thing. Yeah. Badoom. Done. Okay, so I fixed that. The next step is showing you... I think I need to click outside of that code block. Thank you. So how would this work then? Okay, the top is showing you the source in the interim glossary file. And in the middle, you would have a mock-up of the output. And the bottom is your file. Say your product owner comes back to you and says, yeah, we know how we're going to call the product. It's going to be a gizmo, and you're going to wash it with Marseille soap. Good. So I go into my interim glossary, I change it, done. I didn't change the file. I didn't change any of the topics. It just cascaded all throughout my document. I just had to change those two tiny elements over there. Yeah, everybody's happy. So we've moved into this situation. We have a complete disconnect with the glossary, but we're using the interim glossary because we might finally have this crystallized. So we would submit these terms to the glossary management team and wait for them to include them in the glossary. But we are continuing through the documentation lifecycle, and we may reuse topics from other documents, topics that were created and approved previously. So we might be in this situation where our document now is dependent both on the interim glossary and the glossary. Situation that would look like this. So previously we had our soap topics, and now we've added shampoo topics. And this is an example of a shampoo topic. It has already key refs to the actual glossary, the general glossary. And of course, for these to work, you have to add your general glossary. So like I was saying before, you're dependent on the interim glossary and on the general glossary. OK, yeah, shouldn't be a problem. The development lifecycle goes on and on and on. And hopefully, your glossary management team will manage to include those terms in the glossary. So what do you do now? You continue to author, and you would like to know which terms are already included in the general glossary. Are you going to open the glossary? Are you going to browse through the list of 1,000? I mean, you could search by, maybe there's a better way to do that? Do you think there's a better way?
I think there is.
OK.
And we will show you.
Pointer to jest ten.
Okay. Schematron. Yeah, some of you might heard about it. When I heard first time this name, I was thinking about, and I heard that it's used to validate something. I thought about, Transformers robot Megatron that goes around and says obey rules, and actually this is what it is. So Schematron is a set of rules that allows us to validate our document against those rules and check if we actually obey them. Now, the cool thing about Schematron is that it not only allows us to find errors in our markup structure, but it also can allow us to use quick fixes. This is a tool that we can use to automatically, or almost automatically, we just need to click, correct the places where, or elements that are wrong. Now, Schematron is an ISO-based standard, and yeah, it's an XML-based language. And now we will show you a short demonstration on how we can use Schematron to find where the glossary term is properly referenced and properly linked. Now, here we have our topic. And as you can see, we have term conkeyrefs here pointing to our interim glossary. Now, as Daniel said, we moved on with our terminology process. The terms appear in the global glossary. So what we want to do is actually, we don't know about it yet. So we may use a Schematron file, which can be handled by the same group of people that handle terminology. So this is a one Schematron file, which is reused across the documentation. Now, the Schematron file, if you can play. Yeah, if you can play. Yeah, here are the terms that we want to change. We want to check if there's anything missing in our topic, any marking is missing. And if you can pause here just for a second. So this is Schematron code. It's very simple. It's based on patterns, and Schematron it's similar to XML schema. So it consists of rules and shows you warnings and errors whenever you don't obey those rules, as I said before. But it is more flexible, so you can adapt it. For example, in this example, if new terms appear, we can quickly add additional rules while meanwhile keeping all the other rules already in the Schematron code. And it's really simple. For this presentation purpose, we just have like 4 rules invented here. And now we will show you how it works. So there will be a bit of clicking. I wanted to show you how the full process looks like. It's not necessarily the only way how to validate your document or your topic against. So we'll use Oxygen feature to configure a validation scenario. This is very simple. As I say, it's one of the ways. And cool thing about Schematron is that it can validate automatically. So it can validate your document during your writing process. So you don't have to necessarily do it this way. If you set up this once, if it will be a global rule, then it will appear, the warnings will appear whenever you start writing any new topic. Now, we apply the topic, and if you can pause here. Yeah, we see that Oxygen threw out 3 warnings here, saying that SOAP has a key. Yeah, this is an information for us that actually this term concatenate can already be replaced with a keyref to the global glossary. We don't need this anymore. And you can see also that it underlines a SOAP term here, which means that it allows us also to search across regular text expressions, not only any special term concatenate elements. Now, we notice one more thing here. You can see a small light bulb. Now, this is a link to the quick fixes. And now we will show you how these quick fixes work. So we click on the quick fix, pause. Yeah, so basically it says the same as the warning here down. So that SOAP has a key, and it asks you if you want to replace it with anything. You can play. Yeah. OK, we click, and boom, yes, we have. We have the concatenate changed, concatenate attribute changed into a proper keyref attribute with the same here. And we will do the same here. Yeah. The light bulbs appear when you click on the text, which is underlined. Now, we're going to just check if we didn't miss anything again. So we're going to validate the scenario sub. And then, as you see, yeah, the document is valid. Everything is fine. We can go on. Important thing is that this is not necessarily need to be, you can validate the whole data map as well. You don't necessarily have to do it on particular topics. You can validate the whole data map as well. Yeah. Can go on.
So with Schematron, we've moved into this situation where we got rid of the end glossary. But if you notice, we had to do that file by file where map by map, as Wojciech was saying, but you actually had to click on each of the individual items, right? So it was validating your code, and it was telling you, hey, there's something wrong. You may want to, insert an actual term in here. Yeah, OK. But can we do it better?
Yeah. Yeah, well, as Daniel said, now, Schematron allows us to find out that there's something wrong inside in one place in a file. But if we are sure that there are already glossary files are already there and we know them, and we would just want to do that disconnect from the internal glossary, which basically means that we are going to replace the concatenate with the keyref attribute, the same as Schematron did, but we want to do it automatically on one file, on multiple files, on several documents, on all files in your repository. That can be done in XSLT. I'm not saying this is the best way. This is one of the ways. Probably some programmers in the audience could say, well, this code could be much more efficient. Yes, sure it is. But XSLT, as you will see in a second, is a very simple code. So, but getting to the example. Wait.
Oh, OK.
So again, we have, just to recall, here we have our concatenate. And we want to make sure that these will be replaced with keyref. So, good play.
Mm-hmm.
So what we need to do is we need to get back to, here are the terms again. We need to get back to our interim glossary and actually add these keyrefs there. So we just add them in one place in this topic. You can pause.
Yep. To do.
Yeah. So here we don't need to delete anything. We know that for the SOAP we will have we know the keyref because it's already in the glossary. So we just add it here. Yeah. Okay.
I should do that.
Yeah. We have some help from Oxygen here as well. Yeah. We just add these keyrefs right in the code. Now we're going to, after we add it, we're going to run an XSLT transformation. yeah, we need to save file, of course. Blah, blah, blah. May take time sometimes. We work on a database. It's a server-based database, so yeah, okay. And here is the XSLT code. So, what, 20 lines? Actually, everything is done just here. Some regular expressions, some searches. What we want to do is that this XSLT transform will check our file and compare it to what's inside the ingloss. And if he finds out that there is a term based on a conkeyref inside a topic, and that term already has a keyref, it will replace the conkeyref with a keyref. So, and yeah, and we will use another nice Oxygen feature, which is XSLT tab, very simple to quickly run XSLT script here. So we just want to make sure that we run it on the proper file. This is the one, the transformation is correct. So we just click run, and here it is, boom, yeah. So the transformation copied almost all nodes from the old file and outputted with just a slight change, like we see here, there is a keyref. There is now no conkeyref anymore.
Awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You can go on?
You can. You have the pointer.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sure. You're right. Yeah, so, but that's not all. So right now we properly marked up all our terms. They point to our global glossary. Now, one use case of having that all properly marked up might be creating a list of terms or list of acronyms at the end of our document, which we publish. So we want to have that list for the customers to be able to check what particular term means. Now, we can automate it. Why not? We can use another XSLT quick transformation. So here is a topic. We see that we changed the references. There are keyrefs, and actually this transformation will do what the previous could also do. So it will run. It will search across all the files we have in our data map structure. And it will check which glossary files are actually linked. Now, it will take a definition from inside of the glossary files. You can play now. Okay. And it will take acronyms as well from the glossary files. So, yeah, here it is. Here are our keyrefs. And this is our glossary. So this is the same as you've seen before. Individual files, there's a key map at the end that we always need to add to our main data map with the key definitions. Now this is the transformation scenario. So it consists of two patterns. One will create one output file, another one creates the second output file. We will do it in the same way as we did with the previous transformation, so we will use an XSLT tab here. We don't need to change any file because it's hard-coded that it searches across the files where the transformation is placed, actually. So this transformation does a search, and as I said, it's run on server, so actually it takes us a few moments to generate those definition files. So, but here they appear slowly. So. Bang, yeah, one is an abbreviation list, it's a definition list, a concept. Another one is a definition list, which is also here. Now, how it looks like in the output document, just to prove that they really exist, we'll just refresh the database. Here they are, abbreviations. Should open soon. Yeah, so this is in outer mode. So we just need to now attach those files into our main data map, and we have the list is done. All the terms are recognized. We don't need them anymore.
Super.
Okay.
Yeah. Imagine doing that manually, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. That's right. Interesting. Okay, that's good.
We're there. Okay, so to summarize, we technical writers, as we follow data, and we know that that sentence that we try to write the content that is reusable. We try to reuse content to make our lives easier, to make to allow us to for other writers not to repeat the same thing in the same way. Now, if we think about scripting in a similar way. So we heard yesterday from Lesia, I think, about brand books, how it saves thousands of clicks by just having those. And we think about the same about the reuse. So we are not only reusing content, we try to reuse effort. So one person creates a script, it takes some time, of course, but then 30 people, 50 people, 100 people can use the same script to do a very boring task where you can make mistakes, and actually they are time consuming as well. And now we want to encourage you also to reuse the ideas that we presented you here, and be not afraid of those scripts or anything. It's very simple. It's not really programming, it's scripting, it's a completely different thing. but yeah, just try to do it. It makes your life easier.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this has been our story. We've used the glossary as an example. So if I go back to what I was saying at the beginning, that disconnect between us and the tool, I hope you have fallen a bit in love with the glossary like we did. In any case, Wojciech is right. We want you to reuse those ideas. So the slides, all the materials we use, the data files, the scripts, everything is in GitHub. You can learn about XSLT on the World Wide Web Consortium portal, on W3 Schools, even if you prefer that. Schematron has its own portal. And yeah, have fun, explore. Now, if you have any questions, we'll be very happy to answer them. And that address over there takes you to the slides, so you can navigate them and etc. Yeah, so have fun with that as well. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, guys. Questions. I've got one soap. Woo, lots of questions. Great.
Come by. Join me. I feel lonely. Feel alone?
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very interesting. And I'm a translator. And I would like to ask you if you have any experience or perhaps complaints related to translating your output, created the way you discussed, into languages that use inflection, like Polish, Czech, and so on. Because maybe to explain it to everybody, we have in Polish this thing, when the thing is shampoo, it's ten szampon. It's masculine. And we have soap, which is neuter, to mydło. So creating sentences using these automatically substituted terms is a bit challenging. So I would like to ask if you have perhaps thinking of a solution or an option for that. Thank you.
Okay. We haven't encountered that problem. We expect to encounter it at some point. And I have a background in linguistics, so I'm aware that there's efforts to apply metadata so that you can implement the grammatical logic into it, so that instead of one-to-one, you have one-to-many, so you have different grammatical categories, but it's not something we've looked into at the moment. Yeah, maybe at some point. It'll be fun.
Yeah, but a good point is that we shown this why we use these markups, but one of the reasons why we actually want to mark up terms in our documentation is also to easier our translations. That's one of the points. We don't use it at Dolby currently, but you can think about it that this terminology is much easier to be managed when everything is properly marked up in your XML code.
Also, I mean, when we think about translation in our context, we don't consider the kinds of languages, heavily inflected languages that you were mentioning. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for the answer. And one point to make is that we actually encounter this from companies who have content to translate. So it's actually the existing problem, which so if you are not using it, it's good that you are not.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
We actually encounter it.
We think ahead, yeah.
Yeah.
I just really wanted the soap. Oh. Hi to
Hello.
fellow Oxygen users. I wanted to ask if you have any solid data on savings that your solution brings, because if I go to my manager on Monday telling her that I have this cool solution and we can implement it, I would have to tell her that it requires a lot of effort to be implemented first. So then it's all about effort, cost, return of investment, and things like that. So perhaps there's an answer from you.
Yeah, good question. Let me answer quickly.
Go ahead.
Our life is easier because we have a cool manager that, Erin is open for every new type of ways to do things. So she actually, encouraged us to follow this way, follow this track. So it wasn't a problem. But I think you can show him this presentation, for example. No, we didn't do any tracking yet. So we are on the development way right now. So it's, these are rather test phase more. I think that in general, people and writers already see and use this tool. That is a cool thing because some writers are afraid of using such tools. Actually, now we see that they use these tools slowly, and they're happy with that. They don't need to repeat this task. So this does not necessarily need to be any report on how much time we save, but also a direct information from other writers that, well, it's a nice thing and we really use it.
Okay, lucky you.
I can add one thing though, because like Wojciech said, in our current company, we're lucky to have that kind of culture. But at some point I was in a situation similar to you, so I had to go with the figures. What I did was I set up a group of testers that would go through the solution that I was proposing, and I asked them to measure the time that it take them to do that thing in the old method and the method that time that it took them to do it with my script, and I just extrapolated that. So you can just ask your manager, okay, so how much does an hour of your employees cost to the company? And you just make the correlation and, hey, money. It shouldn't be that complicated, so yeah, good luck with that.
Anyone else? Whoa, that's nice.
Thanks for the presentation. I have to admit that your solution was really, brilliant, in fact. And I have a question in 3 parts for you. So please excuse me if I get something wrong, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around what you just presented. The first script, the first XSLT transformation you performed is basically checking whether a con keyref term in your interim glossary has a key defined in your glossary key map.
No, not really.
So what is it then?
We assume that we know that this term exists in the glossary. So we added in the interim glossary file, we added this keyref already. So it checks whether the con keyref attribute in the term which has a con keyref attribute, is there a keyref attribute as well? It doesn't have to go back to the glossary files. It knows that if the keyref is there.
What was your name again?
Jacek.
Yes. So you meant the first script that we showed, or the first XSLT script?
Okay.
Because the first one was the Schematron.
So I mean the script that you run against the interim glossary. I think it might have been the Schematron then.
The first one with the light bulbs.
The first one, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, then yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this script was it's Schematron trick script is based on the rules that you define before. So as I said, we assume that either there are, I don't know, information architects or somebody from terminology management team knows that there are new terms, and they make sure that this Schematron file, which is globally reused to validate documentation, that it consists new rules. So a new term is there, we add a new rule to the Schematron file. And this Schematron file, basically, you can define there that, I think in this example we did two rules. One was searching about for any text where soap appears, and suggested a change to keyref to soap term. The second one was searching for a term which has an attribute conkeyref and a particular value of this conkeyref, which is something soap. So it's, it's kind of hard-coded. It's like you just add this rule because you know that this term exists in the glossary. Is that?
Of course,
you probably would need to have to look at the code, but it makes sense.
But we could automate that probably, just adding stuff into the Schematron.
Well, because what I'm getting at is how Oxygen itself handles keys. Because, well, the thing is that if you already append a data map with your key definitions to your original document map, and you essentially, you can even use the graphical user interface to search for a term, and you can already make a reference through the term tag or abbreviated form, depending on whether you want the abbreviated form or all the full term. Then Oxygen will automatically tell you if the key is there or not, because it will try to resolve the dependency on the fly. So that's, well, essentially, I'm trying to kind of see the purpose of the interim glossary.
It's basically for the people that wouldn't do what you just said.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, we said that's one of the solutions.
I mean,
it's not necessarily the best.
I don't consider it an elegant solution, but
it's easier to handle for the less tech savvy.
Yeah, apparently so.
And the third part of my question is the last thing that you did, essentially generating the list, the definition list with terms and acronyms. And acronyms, right? Thank you. Because, well, why can't you just use a normal glossary topic like Dita already supports, which already allows you to define a term and add the abbreviated form and define how the term behaves in different contexts. I'm not trying to say that this solution is wrong or anything. I'm just trying to see why you need to have the list of terms and a separate list of acronyms.
Yeah. You're right. So you talk about like adding a map of references to the glossary.
Yeah, with
terms
key defs and assigning the type gloss def, I think, or gloss topic.
Yeah. So this is one way we also use in our regular documentation right now. But this example I shown you actually we as a Dolby we also write specification documentation. And it uses completely different schemas. It requires a Microsoft Word output. And there are just different rules. So the way that our schemas were defined is that this topic, the data OT, was prepared as such that it has to be a definition list. It has to be a definition list. So glossary terms weren't yet applied there in that data OT transformation. So this was the easier way to make it work. Right? And if you think about specification, you think about a document that has 300 pages, a lot of terms, and it requires a lot of definitions. So if you require that this list of terms will needs a particular markup style, like definition list or whatever, then, well, what can you do? You can just run a transformation, yeah, to create that. I mean,
So it's just more of a functional requirement.
it's like a functional requirement, more sure, yeah. But of course, yeah, you're right. You could also use or I don't know, you can use a transformation to create that data map automatically, what you say, with gloss terms. That's another solution, right? It's rather just showing you that what can you achieve with that tools, I think.
Okay, good job. This is quite inspirational. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi guys, thank you
Hi.
for a great presentation. I particularly like the part about the Schematron because it will be very, very useful for us. So we've been using data for a while, and actually I've got a question about the term. So the term in a glossary. So once you put it in a sentence and you publish the document, will it give you the definition? Will you take it to the glossary, or will it act just as a particular kind of a variable?
Not sure if I understand the last part, but you're asking if this.
Once you use it in a sentence and then publish the document, and then the term appears there, will it have a sort of a tooltip to it that shows the definition, or?
So yeah, so we mentioned that in the beginning. Of course, in the PDF output, it's not possible, but in the HTML output, that's one of the ways we can present information. That when a customer takes a pointer and marks the term, there's a hovering text appearing and showing the definition. Yes, of course, that's one of the ways you can use it.
But you said that on the rendering engine, right?
Yeah,
so on your transform, so you can do whatever you want.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can be
Sure.
Do we have some time for one more question? So hi fellas, I got the question about the Schematron.
Yeah.
So when you configured it, particularly to you, I guess.
Yeah.
So Schematron can give you two types of, let's say, compilation errors. There's errors and there's warnings, right?
Yeah.
And errors effectively prohibit you from releasing a document. So
That's right.
if you introduce a new rule, can you specify whether it's an error or a warning?
Yeah, that's a very specific question, I think. That would be a good question to our information architect, actually.
Yeah.
But I guess the rule is that every company defines their own rules, right? And for example, if we decide globally that we don't want to have an unordered list with less than 3 bullet points, right? And this has to be a consistent rule because we followed it before manually, and now we know we don't want to output such document to a customer. Then it's an error, of course. But I use the warning here as an example because mainly you can think of, for example, if you search across text, you can think of a situation where you actually don't want to change it to a keyref for some reason because this soap there means something else or is connected with something else. So this is a suggestion from Schematron that you may change it if you want it, if that's what you actually wanted to do, but you don't have to, right? So then it's a warning and a quick fix. So that's. Yeah.
So technically, it is possible to define whether it's a warning or an error.
Yeah, sure.
It's up to you, and it's programmatically.
It's up to the person who creates Schematron, right? There's a element for that, right?
Cool, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else? That would be the last question.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, okay.
One more.
I thought there was no one else. Sorry.
One more time. So that was it. I thought we had been disconnected. Yeah, anyway.
Okay, hi. I'm new to data, and that was quite useful for me. And I have a question on a way of structuring and handling this global glossary in case you need slightly different outputs. Let's say I need output A with some unique list of terms and output B with some other terms, but still there are the same terms repeating in both outputs.
say that again? So you have different lists of terms for the same map, and you want a particular set of terms to appear in one of the lists and another set of terms in another list? Is that what you meant?
Yes, in case there are some unique terms for one output and for another one, but still some similar terms for both outputs.
I mean, the script that we showed actually goes through your... okay, right. So you have like conditions or something, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you have conditions and you have some terms that appear, let's say, in HTML and they won't appear in PDF, for example. Is that...
Yes, just how do you control which terms goes to some specific outputs, some unique, slightly different outputs, but again from the same source? Is it any way to handle this?
I'm going to assume that you use conditions, so that you have a different data val, a data val that you apply for this output, that output, whatever, wherever.
You would have to explain what data val is, but mainly it's a set of rules.
I mean, because you seem to be doing that, and I don't know how your stack looks. That's why I was asking about conditions. I'm assuming you would do that. Maybe it's not something that you have access to or that it's just done transparently. But I don't think it shouldn't be a problem because it's all marked up. You can just filter and say, okay, I'm going to do a list according to this data val, according to the other.
Yeah, what Daniel says seems as a most easier solution. But I mean, you can use an attribute in XML to mark this term somehow. Additional attribute like output class or whatever. There are several options probably. And your data OT, the transformation machine, would have to recognize that if this term has like this attribute, then it should look like this in the output or something like that. So that's one thing. I just wonder why the term would need to look different, because we try to make terminology consistent. Yeah, that was one of the points. So I'm just wondering what's the use case.
Actually, this is a problem, like an issue I'm facing now at my current project and with the tool we are using. So that's why I'm just asking whether it's possible with this tool. And I can see that there are some XML specific stuff. So just because I'm new to data, so I don't know all the specifics, but your answer that it is possible, so it's an answer for me. Thank you.
Have you developed XML before? Or you're new to data and to XML as well?
Just to data. I'm somehow familiar to XML, but data, it's new for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
There will be a way. So just tell me what and I'll say it.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you Wojciech, thank you Daniel. That was a very...
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.